Welcome back to another video, and today we will be discussing my favorite drugstore makeup products. Welcome back, and today will be a first part of a sort of summer series that I have planned on my channel. So we are going to be discussing sort of my favorite product from each sort of makeup price or type category. So as you have seen from the title, today we will be discussing some of my sort of favorite standout products from sort of my favorite drugstore brands. I will be then later on doing a video from indie brands, and lastly I think I will end the series by doing the sort of higher end luxury brands. And something maybe before we get started, I will include like drugstore brands that are sort of like accessible to me quite easily, and that they have sort of a product that I think I try to maybe do this more in terms of product categories instead of individual products. So if a drugstore brand, let's just say, has like there's only like one product that I have tried from a drugstore brand, or if there's a drugstore brand that I regularly use but I feel that the products are mediocre, because there are certain, like I would say, like Maybelline and NYX are, for example, drugstore products that I have tried a lot of products from, and there are certainly good products from the brands in my collection. However, I feel that they aren't as standout compared to maybe some of the other products we are discussing today. So that's just something how I sort of approach making this video, but let's now actually get to the sort of brands and the products themselves. So I'm looking at the pile in front of me, and I do think there is actually, we are getting quite good like variety. So let's first maybe start with Essence. So Essence is a German drugstore brand, and they have a sister brand called Catrice, which it will also be featured in this video. And Essence is definitely, at least for me, one of the most inexpensive brands, because a lot of drugstore brands here in Europe in general, and especially in my country, especially compared to US, like the prices aren't really drugstore, or they're more like mid-range. So for example, brands like L'Oreal or even NYX, those are actually relatively, like some of their products are, for example, getting in the 20 euro category or even more expensive. And then if it's like a 20-30 euro product, then you're already like thinking that maybe spend a bit more and get the higher end alternative. So having like truly inexpensive brands that only cost like under 10 euros, like there aren't, let's just say, like there are some definitely in this video, but the sort of maybe what you would think of a traditional drugstore brands, like these sort of big names, then those can be actually quite like expensive for drugstore, not expensive altogether. But from Essence I chose two products, and these are sort of, I'd say, placeholders for these products in general, so they aren't necessarily all of these products just individually. So first thing from Essence I would definitely say are their mascaras. This is something that I'm just testing out, so I'm not gonna make a particular review yet about this one, but I'm talking about Essence mascaras in general. The mascaras are around, they have gotten a bit more expensive because prices have been getting up, but they are around the 4 to I think 7 euro mark, depending on the country you buy them in. But they are one of the like definitely the more like inexpensive mascara options, and they are like very good. My favorite is the Lush Princess mascara that comes in the green tube. But I do think that just having tried, like, because I think also why I wanted to like mention like Essence mascara in general, because I do feel that they are arranged that they have mascara for everyone. If you want like volume and length, they have a mascara for that. If you just need like length and separation, because our lashes are different and our mascara needs are different, they have one for you, one for definitely someone. Or if you have already quite a lot of like, if you just need volume to your lashes, they have a volumizing mascara. They have waterproof options from quite many of their mascaras if you're someone who wants a waterproof version. So from Essence, what they do definitely really well are mascaras for like different types of lashes, and I think that if you're bowling on a budget, especially in a lot of European countries, I would look to Essence mascaras, because especially in drugstore I have noticed that finding good drugstore mascaras is a bit like difficult. I do think mascaras are one of those products that high-end brands tend to do a bit better. There are of course very bad high-end mascaras, I have definitely tried those, but generally finding good inexpensive mascaras can be difficult. So with Essence I would definitely steer you to the mascaras if you're looking for a budget mascara. Then another kind of product that I did want to feature from Essence is their lip liners, and especially these retractable ones from them. A lot of the couple of other lip liners you will see from in this video later on from other brands are good, but they are more on the creamier side. And I know a lot of people don't want a very creamy lip liner because they actually want the lip liner to last. So especially if you're on a budget and you are looking for, how should I say, this sort of bit more drier lip liner formula that maybe stays a bit better, then I would go to these Essence ones. So these are the 8-hour matte comfort lip liners, and these are definitely, as the name implies, matte, and these actually do last quite well. Do these last, for example, I'd say the most long-lasting lip liner that I have ever worn, I think, are the Pat McGrath lip liners. I have had one in a deluxe size, and that certainly was something that lasted almost like eating oily food and everything. These, you aren't gonna get exactly that, but these are like more on the still on the long-term side, and especially if you feel that these sort of very creamy mascaras are hard to work with, you feel that they slip very easily, I would again steer you these Essence ones, because these are definitely a bit on the drier side, meaning that they do last, but these aren't by no means like tuggy to, how should I say, tuggy to use or tuggy to spread to your lips. These are still very easy to spread out, so that is another recommendation sort of in terms of product categories from Essence. Then let's go to Catrice, and from Catrice there's one category of products that I will talk about, and that is definitely blushes. So I think Catrice does well both powder and liquid blushes. There might have been some exceptions, but generally. So I have a couple of examples here. This was from their this is a blush and highlighter duo, but the highlighter is it's like okay, but nothing to write home about. But the matte blush in this one, very smooth, very easy to work with, but has a punch. Then they have these, I think this is my favorite from there, these Air Blush Glow blushes. These are again, I'd say even though the name has a glow, these are on the matte side, but they do have a bit of a sheen to them. So if you're looking for more of a satin powder finish, I do think that these are good. And these are their staple line blushes, so these aren't like seasonal products in their collection. Then also in terms of liquid blushes, they just came out in their sort of spring edit launch were these ones. So these are the Blush Affair liquid blushes, and again this is a very beautiful if you're especially looking for a more buildable and formula that goes a bit glowy but doesn't leave sticky on your cheeks. Again, a good like blush formula. So from Catrice, I would like look into their blush products if you're looking for a blush from a drugstore, because I do think that these are pretty good, and I do think they seem to have pretty like consistent formulation going on in terms of their different kind of blush formulas. Then let's go to Kiko Milano, and from Kiko is an Italian drugstore brand. They are a bit on the more expensive side. Some of Kiko's products are sort of veering into the mid-range price category, but their staple line products tend to be a bit more on the inexpensive side. And from Kiko there is truly like one standout product, and I think if you've been watching any of my videos you aren't particularly surprised. So these are their 3D lip glosses. Kiko's lip formulations generally have been pretty stable, however not all of them have been like exceptional within the drugstore category, but these lip glosses, I would say that this is the better lip gloss formula that you will get in the drugstore. They have a bit more like sparkle finish within these, but also if you're looking for this more sort of a glassy lip effect, then they also have those that don't have them like that much sparkle to them. So they do have like within this line they have like different sort of like finishes. So there is something for everyone, and they have a very extensive like range of these. Some of them carry more pigment, others don't have as much pigment. So in terms of like ultimate drugstore gloss recommendation, these Kiko Milano's 3D Hydro Glosses are an excellent option. Then let's go to Makeup Revolution, and from Revolution I think I did discuss maybe this in my end of the year product favorite video from last year. I think Makeup Revolution has perfected their cheek product formulas. I have only the blushes here because unfortunately with their bronzer contour, their cream contour and bronzer formulas, there has been the issue that the undertones haven't suited me. But in terms of blushes, first one are these ones. So these are in the Revolution Pro line, but because it is a brand under the Makeup Revolution, I have included them. Very beautiful, these are very like heavy matte formula, so if you like a more satin or glowy blush, this isn't going to be for you, but they do actually have this in a glowier version, so you have that option within this line. very easy to work with, and these just are a good liquid blush formula in general, regardless of the price of these. And similarly, another kind of liquid blush formula is these ones. So these are their mousse blushes, and I have 2 shades of these. This particular one I think is rose pink. And these are, especially if you're looking for a very punchy blush from liquid blush from the get-go, again, this is something, that formulation that I would recommend. So from Revolution's product, I would say that especially their liquid cheek products, they have been doing pretty good work with those, and it's like a formulation that, yeah, despite having decluttered the contouring products because of the shades not fitting me, the formulation of those also have been very good. So I would say that if you're in a drugstore and Makeup Revolution or their sub-brands are accessible to you, try some of their liquid cheek products, because I think they have like the formula and those are pretty good. Let's now actually stay within, actually all the rest are kind of UK based drugstore brands, so we are going with themes. So W7 is another sort of very inexpensive, if I would have to take like truly, because Makeup Revolution again is a product that their prices are like, they aren't like as inexpensive as they used to be, so their prices have gone up a bit. But W7 is again one of those brands that you can actually under 10 euros get most of their products, you can buy most of their products in. And with the first one, actually now we are showing more lip liners. So these are their sharpenable sort of wooden lip liners. As you can see, mine have been pretty well used. I have 1 shade of this somewhere in my makeup drawers. It could actually be in my makeup rotation box currently. These are, if you are looking for very easy to glide, very pigmented, creamier lip liners. Again, if you are looking for this more sort of a drier lip liner formula, I would go for the Essence, but for drugstore creamy lip liner formulas, I would get these. These only cost like what, under, I think they might be actually under 2 euros, and actually, well, mine are pretty well used, but when you get them, the pencil is quite long. I think it's like somewhere, so somewhere here maybe. So you get quite a lot of product for very little money, and these are, again, if you're a fan of these sharpenable creamy lip line pencils, you truly can't go wrong with these ones. So this is the first product category that I would recommend for W7. Another one recommendation again are blushes. With their highlighters and bronzers, I haven't had bit of mixed results, but the blushes I wanted to like show. So first are the sort of powder products. So if you're looking for, because in drugstore especially, with a lot of drugstore blushes, there is a bit of an issue that they are quite pigmented, and I do know that for a lot of people they don't necessarily want a super pigmented, and also with the pigmentation, because the formulations are a bit cheaper, they can be more harder to blend. So if you're looking for a more buildable sheer blush formula, these blushable blushes from W7 are pretty good. This is obviously the shade that dupes the NARS Orgasm. But my retailers has 2 other shades. I don't know if you live in UK or if you shop on their website, do they actually have more than 3 shades, but if you can find a fitting shade amongst the 3, this is a very good, especially if you're looking for a more satin-like buildable blush formula from drugstore powder blushes, this is a recommendation. Then if you're looking for something punchy, then they have these sort of box blushes, and I think these are meant to dupe the Benefit ones. I have 2 of these, so this is the Strawberry Street. I'm actually wearing this currently. This is a pretty nice summer shade, and these are one of those, like if you're looking for those traditional very punchy drugstore blushes that have very much pigment in the get-go. The packaging of these is pretty cheap, so durability can't really guarantee, but just based on price and formula, this is another recommendation. Then something new from them that very positively surprised me. So these are their Cheek Dip liquid blushes, and I said that this was probably one of my, so far one of the like favorite drugstore liquid blush formulas that I have tried during this year, because this is one of those formulas that if you just want a sheer layer, then you can have built the 1 layer, but all over when you have put a second layer of this one, the blush builds up very quickly. So these are one of the few liquid blushes that actually have the option that you can go very sheer and it looks still very pretty, or you can go very punchy with this one and it still like spreads out very easily. And I think this has 4 or 5 shades within the line, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I'd say from W7, lip liners and sort of blushes are the way to go with them. Then for the 2 last brand, let's go to another brand that I can actually buy in store, because the last brand is something that I do have to order from online, so it's not as accessible, but it is still like, because it comes within, because it comes from UK, it still comes quite quickly. So MUA Makeup Academy is another drugstore brand. It's available in my supermarket chain, and this again is one of the few brands that you don't get some of the products, and now the palettes that I'm showing, I think most of the products again are products that you can get under 10 euros. So as I referred to originally, something that I would recommend from the brand are these. So if you are looking very, very good eyeshadow at the drugstore, these ones in the plastic packaging from MUA are the way to go. These aren't anything super colorful. Within these ones in plastic packaging, they might have one palette that's a rainbow palette, and I haven't tried the quality of that one, but these sort of neutral toned palettes in plastic packaging, very good. The shimmers are very impactful. There are a couple of finishes, and just the matte quality is also like something that I have had like more expensive mattes that I have felt that have been like harder to work with compared to these. The only downside of these is that the packaging truly is like a drugstore packaging, and durability is a bit questionable because the plastic isn't particularly sturdy. But just like if you're looking for especially good neutral eyeshadows and you like your sort of glimmery shimmer formulas that are like look almost like a wet effect on your lids, then these are a good way to go. And they offer also like 5 pans in this, so if you just want something in a smaller format, they have the options. I wouldn't buy the ones in a cardboard, because just based on swatches and reviews that I have seen, the eyeshadow quality in the cardboard packaging eyeshadow, there seems to be quite a lot of variation. They tend to do those for their sort of special edit collection, but these plastic ones that are sort of in their staple line palettes, these I would recommend from eyeshadow from the drugstore. Then this is the second brand that I would recommend lip liners from. So again, if you are looking more sort of a creamier drugstore pencil lip liner, these are pretty good. They have pretty extensive range from these, so there are neutrals, but I do think they also have red and pink colors in these lip liners. I have said about the lip liner difference, I do feel that these lip liners that are in their staple collection, because these ones came in their sort of neutral special edition, that they sort of had this sort of a lot of these pinkish nude shades. I did say that this feels a bit more creamier compared to these one, but this is also not something that I would say. I'd say this is in the quite like middle in terms of like, if in one end you have very creamy lip liners and one end you have very like dry lip liners, so this is something that goes in the middle. This is pretty like creamy, so just something to consider. But again, considering like lip liner prices at a drugstore, you can get these. These are a bit more expensive than the W7 one, but I'd say still that if these are easily accessible to you and you're just looking good sharpenable lip liners, I would recommend these ones. And then lastly, a brand that I do categorize a drugstore brand, even though it is something that I do have to like order from online. So Beauty Bay is the last brand that I'm talking about, and especially from Beauty Bay, I would say these palettes. So if you especially like live in Europe and you're looking for a palettes like palettes that especially have color, like a lot of color in them, because a lot of the drugstore palettes, especially what are available in store, those tend to be more neutral leaning. If they have some kind of color to them, usually the more colorful shades, because those tend to be harder to formulate, there can be quite a lot of variation. Are those colorful shades good quality? At worst you get this sort of very powdery old school type of like drugstore colorful eyeshadows that just don't stick to your lid and the color just fades away. But these ones, if you're looking for punchy pigmented colors at drugstore prices, the Beauty Bay palettes are still something that I would recommend. And you get quite a lot of variety, so if you want you can buy some of these big palettes. So these have 42 shades, and I can just show that the earthy palette. So for example with this one you had the selection of greens, but there are also some earthy neutral colors, and also the fact that aside from very good, like I'd say, colorful matte quality, there's quite a nice shimmer formulas in here. So you have a bit more, I'd say, sparkly shimmers, like something in here, but then you also do have something like more satin-like shimmers, for example, the shade up here. So you kind of get to try out different kind of formulations also, especially if you go with these big palettes. And I have always said that especially if you're someone that wants to try a certain color story, but you don't want to commit into a super expensive palette, I would just get one Beauty Bay palette and see do you actually use those colors. And if you then like those kind of color stories, then maybe buy it in a more higher end formula, because if you end up buying a high-end palette in a color sort of range that then you actually end up don't liking, then that's like a lot of money wasted. So these are especially for good if you're wanting to experiment with color and see that what kind of colors you just generally like. But another good thing with Beauty Bay is that they do offer the palettes in their smaller size, so this 16 pan format is actually, I'd say, my favorite from them. They also have these sort of special edition palettes that always, I think, come in a 20 pan format. They just released a new one, it's called Botanical, and those tend to be like limited edition ones. These ones that are in this kind of packaging are usually in their staple sort of line of palettes, and this is another example. So this is a sort of burgundy neutral linen palette, and this is another great thing about Beauty Bay, that aside from doing very colorful palettes, they actually also offer neutral options, and as I said, they have different options. And if you really want to scale down from this, they do also offer these sort of 9 pan versions. Those usually are pretty matte heavy, but if you just want, for example, an all matte 9 pan neutral palette, Beauty Bay also has an option for that usually. So yeah, that was the sort of product that I would recommend from Beauty Bay. Beauty Bay again has also a lot of other products. They are like the online store's in-house brand, but I think from them the palettes are definitely still the standout product. So those were sort of my recommendations from sort of drugstore brands that are accessible to me and that I've been trying. And I would very much like to hear what did you think about my choices. Are there drugstore products available, for example, in your particular country or region that you feel that the brand does particularly well, and certainly comment down below what those products are so we also may try them out. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from my future videos. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I'll be seeing you again in another video soon. Bye bye!